If you've ever lost a friend or family member to a high-control religion, you know the ache, the distance, the silence, the words you never thought you'd hear. I can't talk to you anymore. It's not stupidity. It's not weakness. It's psychology, applied with precision. The secret is no change required. Just carefully engineered beliefs, language, and routines that feel like faith and function as control. So today, I'm letting the truth out. I'm revealing the 7-step process the Jehovah's Witness organization uses to lure people in, reshape their thinking, and keep them obedient, turning sincere, intelligent people into unpaid workers who build their halls, recruit new members, and spread the message that keeps them trapped.
Behold, the King reigns. You are his publicity agents. Therefore, advertise, advertise, advertise the King and his kingdom.
By the end of this video, you'll understand the exact psychological system the Watchtower uses, how it captures bright, reasonable minds, and why breaking free isn't as simple as walking away. Trick number 1, Jehovah's Witnesses appeal to the rational thinker. Let's be honest, it takes a lot of faith to believe in any religion. We live in an age of science, logic, and instant information. We know more about the universe than any generation before us. And while science doesn't have all the answers, it's given us enough to know that some Bible stories just don't add up. The Jehovah's Witnesses understand that. In fact, that's part of their pitch. They reject the mystical parts of Christianity that make educated, practical people roll their eyes. They don't believe in hellfire. They don't accept a mysterious Trinity. They don't think humans turn into angels when they die. They believe that when you're dead, you're just dead. Jehovah's Witnesses offer what feels like a rational version of faith, a clean, logical worldview that says, we don't follow superstitions. We follow the Bible the way it was meant to be read.
You will not be taught religious traditions, only what the Bible teaches.
To someone skeptical of mainstream religion, that can sound refreshingly intelligent. It validates your doubts about everyone else, and before you know it, you start trusting them. That's how the hook sets, not by defying reason, but by appealing to it. Trick number 2, isolate new members from their support system. Once they've earned your trust, the next step is to slowly cut off all competing voices. They don't tell you to stop thinking. They just tell you who you shouldn't listen to. Friends, media, higher education, ex-members, all are labeled spiritually dangerous. New converts are reminded that even casual friendships outside the Kingdom Hall can weaken your faith.
I knew what the Bible said about quit mixing in company with anyone who is not living according to Christian standards.
The term worldly people applies to anyone who isn't a Jehovah's Witness. And soon the elders start suggesting that someday you'll probably have to choose between Jehovah or your family. They don't force you to do it, but they constantly remind you that your non-witness friends and relatives are the biggest threat to your relationship with Jehovah. They'll reference Bible stories like Job, a man who lost everything but was rewarded richly for his loyalty to God. The result is isolation, a controlled environment where Watchtower logic always wins because no outside voice is allowed to challenge it. This is why the organization can wrongly predict the end of the world over and over again, and people still listen. Trick number 3. Redefine obedience as humility. When intelligent people begin to ask questions, the organization praises submission. You're told that true wisdom comes from waiting on Jehovah, and that questioning the governing body is no different than challenging Jehovah himself. Jehovah's sacred arrangement, as they call it, is a chain of command. God speaks through the governing body feeds the congregations, and the congregations obey.
Now, before making any decision that affects the kingdom work, the governing body has to carefully consider the spiritual implications. Now, the same principles apply to clarifications in our beliefs. The governing body loves to get together and discuss the Bible. And when those Bibles come out on the table, and when the brothers bring their research in, and they're starting to search the Scriptures and analyze the Scriptures, you see the happy smiles on their faces. The brothers love discussing spiritual things.
This structure is reinforced constantly with stories from the Bible, from ancient Israel to first century Christians, to show that Jehovah's people have always followed human leaders appointed by him. So you trade skepticism for obedience, believing it's a sign of humility. When a new member reads something in a Watchtower that doesn't sit right, they're told, be patient, keep waiting on Jehovah, you'll understand later. And eventually they do, not because it starts to make sense, but because they've been trained to stop questioning why it doesn't. Trick number 4, they weaponize love. Every human being, no matter how smart, craves connection and belonging. And Jehovah's Witnesses use that need with surgical precision. They talk constantly about love, brotherly love, Christian love, unconditional love.
The love demonstrated in the organization is truly faith-strengthening to see.
They boast of helping disaster victims, of caring for one another, of being the most loving people on earth. But peel back the layers, and that love is conditional. It flows only toward those inside the organization, only when loyalty is proven. They'll rebuild homes for witnesses after a hurricane, but rarely for anyone outside their circle.
Our donations also are put to good use when disasters strike. The organization is quick to respond to the needs of our brothers and sisters in affected areas. This includes the distribution of relief supplies.
They'll call it generosity, but it's really brand loyalty. And the moment you question leadership or doctrine, that love disappears. Family and friends are instructed not to speak to you. You become invisible, punished by silence until you repent. When you conform, you're loved. When you question, you're erased. It's not spiritual love. It's behavioral control disguised as kindness. Trick number 5, create emotional debt through kindness. As a new member, people at the Kingdom Hall go out of their way to help you. Someone might hand you a bag of suits because they know you can't afford them. Another might pay for your meal after a meeting. It feels warm, generous, sincere. But there's an unspoken expectation attached to every act of kindness. Now that you've been helped, you're expected to fit in. Wear the suits, show up, stay loyal. If you don't, the warmth fades quickly. The organization reinforces this constantly with phrases like, remember how much Jehovah has done for you. It sounds spiritual, but psychologically, it creates a sense of debt. You start to feel guilty for questioning the very group that took care of you. It's emotional conditioning, generosity used to buy silence, and obedience. Trick number 6, flood the mind to numb the doubt. The schedule of a Jehovah's Witness is relentless. Meetings twice a week, ministry on weekends, personal study every day, conventions every few months. There's barely a moment left for quiet reflection. At first, it feels productive, like you're making spiritual progress, but it's actually mental saturation. Your time, your attention, even your inner voice are filled with Watchtower content. When people are exhausted, they stop analyzing, they start accepting. That exhaustion is the point. It turns critical thinking into anxiety, and replaces rest with ritual. Soon, silence feels uncomfortable, and the only thing that brings peace is more Watchtower material. Trick number 7, redefine reality through language. The final step is subtle but devastating. They change how you think by changing how you speak. Words like the truth, the world, spiritual food, apostate, all carry meanings unique to Jehovah's Witnesses. The truth doesn't mean truth, it means their religion. The world doesn't mean humanity, it means everyone else, corrupted and doomed. These redefinitions shrink reality until everything outside the organization feels wrong and everything inside feels safe. Once you start speaking their language, you start thinking in their logic. Your vocabulary becomes a filter that blocks out ideas that don't fit. That's how they finish the process, not by chaining your body, but by programming your mind. Freedom begins when you start reclaiming your words, and with them, your thoughts.